Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon, and this is PartnerTalks. Today, we have Hendrik Bulens from Dime Software on the show today. Hendrik, tell the folks who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Hendrik Bulens, and I am the managing partner here at Dime Software. We are an ISV that builds scheduling solutions for Business Central and basically any other ERP that may be out there.
Okay, excellent. So let's get into your personal journey in the world of Microsoft business applications. So Hendrik, let's talk a little bit about how you first got involved with business applications and how did you end up in the seat you're in today?
It started pretty much since day one of my career, which I think began almost 15 years ago now. It's been such a long time. My first job was as a consultant at a Big Four company, which partnered up with Microsoft. So since the very beginning, I was exposed to a bunch of their products, their technologies, their development toolkits, many of which I still use today, all these years later. And so right after graduating, I jumped into the role as a consultant. And I think 2 very short years later, I left the corporate world behind and began my life basically as a freelance technical consultant. Although I must say the term freelance might be stretching a little bit, because my first client turns out to be my only client, and 6 years ago I bought that company. So it's been one hell of a ride. Lots of random events have happened, which brought me in the position I am today.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of Dime Software. When did the company get started and when did they get into the scheduling business?
It began in 2010, I believe, and a couple of colleagues who at the time were working at the sort of in-house nav development team for a large German car manufacturer. They left to start their own sort of consulting boutique. And I think it was 2 years later, they realized they were probably better off by pivoting a little bit and start developing their own add-ons. So in 2012, I believe, they went live with our scheduling tool, Dime Scheduler, and 15 years later, we're still doing the same thing. We went from this classic consulting firm to this classic ISV story, and then a couple of years ago in 2024, we transformed once again to become a SaaS company, basically, but still focusing on the scheduling parts of things.
Okay, excellent. And you've got a great name, Dime Software. Is there any story behind how they came up with this?
I wish I could tell you a very inspiring story that these startup founders always have, but it's not that romantic, I have to say. The 2 founders, they took their 2 first letters of their last name and they put it together. So there was one guy started with DI and the other one with ME. They put it together and they called it Dime Software. So it has nothing to do with the money. It's just the 2 guys with their last names put it together. I must say I'm not a big fan of the name, but by now, after all these years, we're quite a well-known brand. So we decided to keep it for now. And it's such a memorable name, it's hard to miss.
That's the thing, right? It sticks to your mind. First time I met you, you said you were with Dime Software, and I remembered that. It's just one of those names that stick out. So what problem do you solve with your scheduling software? And who are the typical clients that buy this from you?
Yeah, so from the outset, we sort of made a tool that used to be a horizontal solution that could be plugged in by any company in any industry with any kind of ERP system. Turns out to be our star shines a bit brighter in particular industries like field service, we're very strong at, but also we have lots of customers in professional services, engineering, pest control. Basically any company that has a very dynamic environment where planning can change every day, every minute, they tend to fare well with our planning tool. So that's the idea we have. We tend to help them with the planning of their resources and their projects. And people actually laugh when I tell them that our main competitor is Excel. Doing the planning in Excel sheets or in Outlook or even on paper, that's all fine. Up until a certain point where it no longer becomes manageable. They will start to make mistakes. They will find it hard to respond to changes. And overall, they will make a planning that tends to be far from ideal, making them lose on a lot of time and money. So that's where we jump in with a visual planning tool built on top of the ERP, so people can still use the tools and the data that they already have in the company. So sort of plug and play, have the planning built in, and then you can keep on going with a bit more professional approach to their resource planning.
So I met you at Directions last year in Poznan, but we were talking about your product, its integration to Business Central. Is that the core business of Dime, or do you integrate with other ERPs?
We do integrate with other ERPs, but there's one bottleneck. We typically lack the knowledge of other ERPs. So we do have customers with SAP, with NetSuite, with Odoo, in field service, the whole Dataverse. We are compatible with those. We have connectivity with them. But from our company, from day one, we've been embedded in the Dynamics channel. So that's where our expertise is at. But one of the things we're going to do in the near future is expand into those other areas and get some knowledge of those other ERPs. But yeah, we found a little niche here. We know the market. We have partners everywhere. So that's something we're very comfortable at, but it doesn't have to be limited to Business Central and NAV.
So, for a company your size, you have a global footprint. Do you talk about how many customers are using it and how many partners you work with?
The number of customers, I think it's in the hundreds, and the partners depends a bit on whether you call them active or not. Some have been active in the past, and then with all these mergers that have been happening in the past, I lost track of the number of partners we have. But we're like the classic ISV in this channel. It's lots of customers in Western Europe, in a little bit in Asia, and then a little bit in North America. So that's our sort of our niche that we have.
So you've got a lot of room for expansion because it's a well-known product, and you absolutely must have the functionality people want because I think it fits a small business and fits all the way to the enterprise if they're using SAP.
For sure, and that's one of the trends we've been seeing last year and the couple of years before that. The size of the deals has gotten bigger. The company size is larger than before. We used to focus it completely, and we still do actually, focus on the SMEs, but we start to attract lots of larger customers with enormous volumes of the planned data. So I don't know if that's a trend we see that everybody sees, but absolutely there's markets out there, not just geographically, but just also every year we go to Directions, people say, where the hell do you come from? Like, we never heard about you. We have customers who need planning. So it's weird that after all these years, people still haven't found their way to us. So absolutely, there's still lots of growth to have.
So let's talk a little bit about that growth. And, Microsoft's after us to become these frontier partners and really start to embed AI in functionality. So let's talk specifically about your product. What kind of product do you have today? Where do you want to take that product in the next few years? And then how do you plan on using AI in scheduling?
Well, AI is definitely, like everybody else, is definitely one of the most requested features by our customers and prospects, and we heard them. So since last summer, we started developing these optimization algorithms that automate and optimize the routes of customers, and also sort of optimize the planning of field service technicians. There's more algorithms on the way, but we're going to start with these two because we have lots of customers in field service, so we're going to try that market out. But once the ball starts to roll there, so then they start to ask, can we plug it into ChatGPT? Can we add it to OpenAI? So we're adding an MCP server so developers can do their own thing. We have a recommendation API that's coming up. So little by little, we're adding capabilities to our planning tool, which today mostly is a manual planning tool that gives the planner, the human planner, the tools to do the planning themselves. But little by little, we're going to introduce AI, but let the planner in the driver's seat to override what these algorithms churn out. Because sometimes they tend to miss some of these subtle things that only humans can get. But we'll save them lots of time. If you're talking about these larger customers, if you have to plan thousands of orders every day it might be useful to have some algorithm just initially say, here's the planning, and then confirm and revise where necessary. So for sure, planning AI is one of the things we're investing in, but also more focusing on certain industries like field service, like engineering, like professional services. And then from then on, the questions will come by themselves to move into more like a project management rather than project planning. So we have a roadmap that goes up until 2050, I think. That will keep us busy for many years to come. So yeah, our roadmap, we know what to do.
Just getting there is a lot of work, but I think you're on the right track. When you talk to customers, what are they looking for?
It depends, of course, on the size of the company. When it's a smaller company who's going through a phase of rapid growth, they'll have the Excel issue. They have lots of tools that used to work for lower volumes. Then they lose track of time. They have 6 or 7 versions of their planning.
Lose track of billing.
Yeah, that too. They just don't know what's happening. They're losing track of the actuals versus the projected times. They have to plan in advance to order more stock, to maybe hire more external contractors. So once the volume goes up, the size of the company, it becomes incredibly complex, and then it's what they need tooling for to help them in their growth.
So if we look at Hendrik, you're moving in the right direction with the product. It's a proven product. You're implementing AI. You understand what the customer's looking for. Let's talk about your relationship with partners. How do you work with partners, and why are they important to you?
Well, since day one, our business model was centered around partners. So we're fully committed to that partner model, that they can help us bring our product to market, because we're still a reasonably small company. So we're tapping into that enormous partner channel to bring our software to the market. And they know much better than we do how their customers work, what they want. They are industry experts. We are not so much industry experts. So we help asking them to bring our product to their markets. And they tend to build verticals that they're experts in, and they're using our tool as part of their offers for their customers. So it's a win-win model. And we don't know any other way. Since day one, that's the way it has been. We offer our software to both our partner and to the customer. So lots of our investments that we do actually is for the partner and not necessarily for the customers. And also, one of the big initiatives for this year that we're doing in the development is to make implementation time easier, to have a more guided approach to implementations. So partners, they have to juggle 20-30 ISV apps in the market. They have to think about what Microsoft is doing. So they're overloaded with knowledge and tools. So we want to make it as simple as possible to implement and to work with us. If somebody needs a request, they go to our support, and then within a minute, one of our guys is jumping in a meeting with them. So that's what we do, and we understand how busy they are. So the least we can do is make it a bit easier for them to get their job done.
Okay, excellent. So I want to thank you for coming on Partner Talks today, and let's close with this question. What do you like best about working in this Microsoft ecosystem?
If you go online, you'll see the trolls have a field day making fun of Microsoft and how they're screwing things up. But I myself think they're making just very solid business software. I don't think any company out there can match what Microsoft is doing, especially the integration across the whole suite. That's something that's unparalleled, and it's very powerful for just standardization, but also personalization. So it's the whole suite is out there, and makes it very nice from my perspective also as a software company to build on top of what Microsoft is doing. So yeah, so far no complaints. I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and I don't tend to leave this ecosystem anytime soon.
So Hendrik, thanks for your time. Have a great day, and we'll be coming back to you at some time in the future to find out what's happening in scheduling and at Dime Software.